Hello class, my name is Virgil Green again, and today I'd like to talk about a scenario called without rule of law. You may have heard that term. Basically what that means is if there's a natural disaster or terrorist attack, or we have some sort of economic collapse and there's no longer public services available to support us, like the police department, the hospitals, communication, those types of things, we need to be able to provide for ourselves. And so preparing for a without rule of law scenario is a very real possibility in our country today. If you follow the news and you follow politics, you are aware of how poorly our economy is doing right now. And our government, they're tripping over themselves. We're not doing good right now. The United States, our dollar, our currency, is doing extremely poorly. We're in trouble, and unless the government and all of us can figure out how to pull us out of this mess, we may have to survive on our own, like they did in the Great Depression. And being prepared for that is very important. And there are also other reasons why we need to prepare. Anyway, natural disaster, and most of you know about Hurricane Katrina and the disaster that happened down there. There were people looting and using firearms to steal from people, and it was a very scary situation. I know for me and my family, I want to be prepared for something like that, and I have firearms and I have ammunition and I know how to use them, and I'm training my family on how to use them. And heaven forbid it has to come to that, but people get desperate when they're hungry and they're starving, and that's a reality. Another thing is a terrorist attack. Throughout our American history, I mean, if you know anything about the battles that we've fought, all of our American history in terms of wars and things like that, and for the longest time now, Al-Qaeda and the terrorist attacks that we've had to endure from that. Being prepared for that in the best way that you can is also a great thing. Again, I want to talk about the economic hardship. It's a good idea to be prepared no matter what, because let's say there's a loss of job in the house. If you have an emergency supply of food on hand, maybe 3 to 6 months of your normal everyday food that you eat, that would be a huge relief to know that you have those supplies on hand for you and your family if things got really tough. And that's something that you have in your home. It's with you, and it's not the dollar. They can't close the banks on you and take your money away from you. No, you have your food in your home, and you're ready. So what I want to talk about is being prepared in sort of a priority list. Not entirely in the order that everyone would want to do it. Although the first item I would suggest would be the very first thing that everyone should have, and that is water. Without water, which no one can last without water for very much more than 3 days, and that's really pushing it, we need water to survive. And so having at least 1 gallon of water per person in your family per day is the bare minimum. So have water on hand. Have things to purify water, and containers to keep it in. And that is extremely important. The next item I would say would be food. And there are many schools of thought on food, what you should have, how that should all work. In my opinion, it's based on your budget. What can you afford to do, and do it. Keep as much of the food that you eat on a daily basis, as much as you can of that food. And then if you can afford it, look online. Look at some of the websites out there that do food storage, preparedness, and there's great resources out there on that. For me and my family, we're wanting to have 6 months of the food that we eat every day on hand at all times, and then rotate it as we go, and have long-term food storage in the form of whole wheat, non-fat dry milk, sugar, beans, things like that, packed in 5-gallon containers. And again, your budget is your limiting factor on that. Do the best that you can on that. The next thing is medical supplies. I know for me, I take prescription medication that I have to have. I have to take it every day. And so it behooves me to have as much of that on hand as I can. Same with my wife. So we have as much as we can that our insurance company will pay for, and we're working to stock more than that as we go. The next thing is first aid supplies. Having a larger than average stock of first aid supplies is a great thing. Skincare, very important. Anti-inflammatory, ibuprofen, things like that, very important. Now, self-sufficiency and home defense. In my opinion, I think that self-sufficiency, home defense, that's right up there with food and water. If worse comes to worse and you can't really afford to have all these stockpiles of food, and you have your water, because water's number one. Work on those firearms. If you already have firearms, make sure you have ammunition and you know how to use your firearms to hunt. And now I'm not talking big game. I'm talking whatever you can get. Squirrels, birds of any kind, whatever you can get. Because if it's that bad and you haven't had the time or the resources to stock the food that you need, you will need to do whatever you have to do. And lastly is education and training. With all of this, it's an ongoing process. Just like what I've done is I've continued to learn, educate, put myself in that situation, that emergency situation, and read as much as I can get my hands on about these different scenarios and what other people have learned, and try to gain perspective and get a sense of perspective on it, and work to come up with a solution that works for you and your family, as I have for mine, and continue to do so. So prepare. And again, this is not a crazy survivalist, extremist type outlook. This is being prepared for whatever that comes your way. And I want to be prepared to take care of my family if I have to. Thank you.